Evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Rini Selva Gibson. Just give me a Can everybody see my screen? Give me a thumbs up in the chat box quickly, just to know if you're awake and alive in this session. Are you guys alive? I'm waiting for a thumbs up. If you can see the screen. Okay. Anyways, let me go forward. Okay, I am Dr. Rini Selva Gibson and I'm an oncotherapist and rehabilitation specialist in First Doctor Clinic. Today I'm going to be taking a small session. Okay, we'll be giving you an outline of what oncophysiotherapy is. Okay, just to enlighten you what this new field of physiotherapy is, when what this is something that you don't come across usually in your curriculum very frequently. It's what I think it's one of a few topics that is covered in your curriculum in your 4 years. Maybe you might have some clinical exposure, you might have some uh, lectures or sessions or workshops on it, but going into the depth of it is very rare in the 4 years course of physiotherapy. So I want you to enlighten you what oncology, what role physiotherapy plays in the field of oncology. So before we go into the PT part, physiotherapist part of it, I want you to I want to tell you what exactly cancer is. Okay, just to give you an outline. Cancer is basically onco. Okay, onco is a Greek term which also means mass, and when we see physiotherapy, it means healing. Okay, and there are two terms that you might have come across. One is oncology and one is cancer. Just so you know the difference between it, cancer is a disease, okay, in which the cells grow uncontrollably and they head to different parts of the body. Okay, and oncology is the branch of medicine that specializes in the diagnosis, in the treatment and in the management of cancer. Okay, so cancer is the disease and oncology is a study of the disease, is the branch which deals with the disease. Okay, so why do we need to know so much about cancer? Okay, why do we need to, even, as a physio, why do we need to know? So according to the global statistics, it is the second leading cause of death. Okay, cancer is the second leading cause of death. Okay, of almost 9.6 million deaths itself has happened in 2018 just because of cancer. That is approximately 1 in 6 deaths is because of cancer. Okay, and according to the 2020 statistics, according to the 2020 measurements, about 19.3 million new cases have turned up and 10 million deaths. Okay, as you can see in the map, there's a very wide range. The dark blue is where it is more prevalent, more present. The light blue areas is where it's not usually or more commonly seen. Okay, and when you see those statistics in India, you will notice that there have been over lakh new patients who have been registered every year, and one out of every one woman dies every 8 minutes in India because of cervical cancer, and 2 women are diagnosed newly with breast cancer in India, and it dies, and out of the two, one dies. So you see that the number is so huge, and it is so odd. Medically, when you see it medically, they are taken care of, but when you see it physiotherapeutically and what role we can play so as to improve, so as to prevent, and so as to treat those cancer patients, is what we are here to learn. So the statistics itself puts a greater burden on all medical professionals, including physiotherapists. So when I say cancer, like I said, cancer is what is the multiplication of cells in an uncontrolled manner. So what generally happens is a cell is there, okay? Our body needs a cell to function, okay? So there's a cell, okay? It grows, it matures, it divides, and then it dies, and the new cell forms, okay? But when it comes to cancer, this orderly fashion goes haphazard, okay? It is like up and down, it's a chaos. So the cell proliferation uncontrollably. There's no control over it. The shape, the structure, everything is uh very different than a normal cell, very abnormal than a normal cell, okay? So when we see there are different types of cancer. One is we might have commonly heard benign and malignant. Benign is something that does not spread. You do not exactly call it a cancer, you just call it a benign tumor. Basically, the benign tumor does not spread, maybe grows, but it does not spread in other tissues, it does not harm the other tissues, okay? But malignant, when you say malignant, it is termed as cancer, okay? Basically the proliferation increases, and it spreads to the surrounding tissues, it disrupts the functioning of the surrounding tissues and the tissues where it is formed as well, okay? So there are 2 or 3 things which are not termed as cancer, which can be misdiagnosed, okay? You see a lump and then you just can't term it as cancer, okay? There are different things that look like cancer but are not, okay? So one is hyperplasia, okay? It is usually caused by any chronic irritation, as you can diagram, okay? Hyperplasia is just they multiply faster than normal, okay? But it is in a very organized fashion, okay? Dysplasia, on the other hand, is more advanced than hyperplasia, and they look abnormal, but they are still in a structured manner. They, if ignored or if not treated, they might form into cancerous tissue. Next is a carcinoma in situ. That is, it is even more advanced than dysplasia. That means the abnormal cells, they do not invade the nearby tissue, but uh, there are high chances that it might turn into a cancerous tissue, okay? So these are things that are not termed as cancer but look like cancer. Next is causes and risk factors. As we all know, as medical, we know that UV rays, obesity, tobacco, alcohol, drug misuse, hormonal or immune suppressing drugs, unhealthy diet, pollution, and old age. All these lot of factors are responsible, are the risk factors to cause cancer. But there is no known cause as such. Uh, it's not always known what the cause of a cancer is. It's mostly genetic, and the genetic mutations in the DNA. Okay, so there are lots of types. Okay, when you see, there are almost more than 200 different types of cancer, and they have their own methods of diagnosis, and they have their own different treatments. Okay, so it's not, there's no gold standard key. If this person has this cancer, this is the treatment. No, it always differs from individual to individual. The extent of the cancer, the size of the cancerous tumor, it all depends on each individual. But when we look into the types of cancer, there are more than 200 types. I would have, before I did this course, I would have probably heard say 5 or 10 types of cancers max to max, but there are 200 and more. Okay, so when you say these are the major classification, four classification, that is carcinoma. It is a cancer that starts in the skin or tissues that line the organs. Okay, sarcoma is the connected tissues, that is your bones, muscles, cartilage, and your blood vessels. Leukemia is the cancer that is present in your bone marrow, which creates blood cells. Okay, lymphoma and myeloma are cancers which affect your immune system. Okay, and the other classification is organ based. Like if your cancerous cell, if your cancerous tumor is on the brain, you call it brain cancer. If it is on your bone, it's called bone cancer. Okay, if it is on your pancreas, it's called pancreatic cancer. Okay, so organ-based nomenclature is different, but these are the major 4 classifications of cancer. Okay, now when we look into the treatment options, we all know that you have radiation, you have you have chemo. Radiation and chemo is the most commonly heard of and known of treatment options, but there are a lot more treatment options that other than that. Hormone therapy, surgery, targeted therapy, bone marrow transplantation, and even stem cell. Okay, so I'll just give you a brief outline of what the different types of managements are. Okay, so chemotherapy is when you induce drugs in the body to help shrink the tumors, but the side effects and all are very severe of chemotherapy. They do kill the cancerous tissues, they do kill they do suppress the proliferation of it, the severity of it. Okay, so and but it affects the abnormal cells, but it also affects your normal cells, which is why you have the side effects of chemotherapy that you commonly hear about. Okay, next is the hormone therapy, in which certain hormones, in cases of prostate and breast, okay, this is a very common method of treatment. Okay, you might have heard Tamodex or tamoxifen. Okay, such hormonal medications are given to regulate your hormonal balance in the body such that it doesn't turn into cancer. Next is immunotherapy. Immunotherapy is where medications and other treatments are used to, immunoglobulins are used to boost the immune system, and it encourages us to to fight the cancerous cells. Okay, the next is radiation therapy, which is more specific. Okay, for example, if I have a breast cancer, okay, radiation is given in a particular site, in a particular manner, in a particular wavelength. Okay, and the tumor is shrunken. It is given pre-surgery. It can also be given post-surgery. Okay, so these radiation kills the cancerous tissue. Next is the one. Okay, it can be beneficial for mostly blood-related cancers such as leukemia and lymphoma. Okay, surgery, and surgery is where the cancerous tissue is excised very carefully, taken out along with the surrounding healthy tissue as well. Okay, to avoid the spread of the cancer cells. Now you might why do we need physiotherapy in cancer? Okay, now like I told you, the types of the modes of different modes of treatment: chemo, radiation, immunotherapy. All these therapies have their side effects, have their complications. Surgery, okay, even if I'm a normal individual, if I had a accident, if I had a fracture and I would have done a close reduction, or I would have done a plate fixation, you will definitely say that I after surgery need physio, right? Why? Because I have stiffness, I have the post-op complications. Okay, so similarly, when it comes to cancer and its treatment, okay, they all have their post-treatment complications. Okay, if I go into it, it's a whole big world, and I will need more than say 6 months or 1 year to explain you each and everything. Okay, but majorly I want you to understand that physiotherapy, when cancer patients have undergo muscle weakness, they undergo pulmonary dysfunction, they have fatigue, they have pain, they also have pain like any normal individual. Okay, they have difficulties in performing their daily activities, they have their quality of life is very reduced. Okay, their flexibility, their endurance, their aerobic capacity, everything is altered. Okay, they have joint stiffness, soft tissue tightness, swelling, or edema. Okay, these are the lot of, there are more problems than these, but I have just highlighted few main problems that you can know, be aware of. Okay, so cancer patients also undergo all these difficulties uh, because of the treatment methods. Okay, different treatments. Okay, they have to undergo those treatments, only then they can be out of it, but they are very harsh to the body. Okay, so that's where we come into action. Okay. 4 types of approaches when it comes to rehabilitation post their treatment or even during their treatment. Okay, one is preventive, Preventive is when the intervention is focused on the patient's level of functioning. Okay, when during the onset of cancer and its treatment, like patient education, giving them psychological support, like it's just to prevent, okay, any further complications. Restorative rehabilitation is when the intervention is based on returning the patient back to their previous normal level of functioning and their daily activities. Like when they are undergoing a treatment, they have to come back to their normal self like before. That is what is restorative rehabilitation. Supportive rehabilitation is when they are at the highest levels of impairments and activity limitations and all. We play a major role at supporting them, helping them to maintain and to be the best in that impairment or disability. Next is palliative rehabilitation. Palliative rehabilitation is when the palliative, you say palliative when you want to minimize the complications, and when there's no scope or no future hope for the person. Okay, that is when you give, when the treatment methods have all failed, but they have a particular span. Okay, now suppose for example they have been given 5 months to survive. Okay, that 5 months, would you expect the patient to be rather being bedridden, or would you be expecting the patient to use the most of their life and be the best without pain, be without any complications? So that is what palliative rehabilitation is. Okay, we reduce the complications like bed sores, pressure ulcers, muscle deconditioning, body deconditioning. Okay, cardiovascular endurance improvement, and prevention of any TCDs, tightness, contractures and deformities. Okay, so you might think that we play a role only after they have undergone the entire treatment. After 2-3 months of their treatment, they have settled down, and then we look at them. No, that's not what physios do. Okay, physios play a major role in inpatient setup, in outpatient setup. They play a major role in survivors, in pre-operative, okay, and post-operative as well, and acute care and nursing home. Okay, we play a major role in ICUs, in hospitals. Okay, so pre-operative, post-operative, these all are the areas where our intervention is very necessary. Okay, so when I say physiotherapy, obviously assessment becomes our major thing, because based on that is how we treat them. Okay, so patient's assessment is mostly based on the ICF model, which you can find online. Okay, so ICF model of assessment is majorly used for all kinds of cancer and all kinds of conditions. We use our basic MMT, their ROM, balance, ADL, palliative performance, Barthel index, their balance, their endurance, quality of life, and their functional independence. All these measures are used to assess them. Obviously, it changes from condition to condition. Okay, now I can't explain you the management part, PT management part in common, in general, because each condition, like I said, there are 200 different types. Okay, so each condition have a different approach. They have a different therapy. They have different types of methods of treatment, just like how they undergo cancer treatment, like that physiotherapy treatment also. There is a lot of it's a big world again, but I would like to give you an idea as to what it is in by giving you two examples. One is the breast cancer and one is head and neck cancer, so that you get an idea about what I'm talking about. Okay, so in breast cancer, what is the treatment method? It can be either surgery. Okay, I'm sure you all would have finished your surgery classes. Okay, so you have mastectomy, you have breast conserving surgery, you have radical mastectomy. Okay, in where your whole breast tissue is removed. In certain surgeries, your half breast tissue is removed. So when your breast tissue is removed, along with that, your lymph nodes are also removed. Okay, lymph nodes are what, in which your lymphatic fluid goes and comes. Okay, so breast cancer people undergo radiation therapy as well. They might undergo chemotherapy and hormonal therapy. Okay, so like I said, radiation, chemo, surgery, they complications. So what are the complications that we can come across in breast cancer? Okay, breast cancer treatments. So one is weakness, muscle weakness around the shoulder joint. That can be post surgery, that can be a pre-surgery as well. Okay, because of the tissue, because of the cancerous tissue, there might be weakness, there might be pain that will be restricting the shoulder movements, and because of which your muscle weakness develops. Okay, so you might have muscle weakness. Obviously there'll be a decline in the ADL of upper extremities, then dizziness, loss of appetite, shortness of breath, depression, post surgical pain, rotator cuff issues, frozen shoulder, that is adhesive capsulitis, and lymph vascular disorders, that is lymphedema. Okay, which is most commonly seen in breast cancer patients, that is lymphedema. Like I said, their lymph nodes are removed, so there is no route, there's no route for it to get away, get out of the body. So lymphedema, so the hand gets swollen, your full extremity, or just your arm, just your hand, just your upper arm might get swollen. Okay, that is post treatment usually. Okay, so lymphedema is a major complication of breast cancer treatment. So how is it assessed? Like I said, you use the ICF mode, in which you see the shoulder range of motion, you check the shoulder muscle power, you check the pain scale. You can use the numeric rating, you can use the visual analog scale. Okay, whatever pain questionnaire you can, it is commonly used. These are the two ones which are commonly used, but you can go in depth of it as well by using the other pain questionnaires. Fatigue, if you get fatigue score, then upper limb volume. Like I said, they usually develop lymphedema, so the volume of this hand, of the affected hand, will be more than the non-affected hand. Okay, so we have to check the upper limb volume as well. Okay, they do a circumference measurement as well, upper limb disability questionnaire, and quality of life evaluation. So when you do this, when you assess all these things, you will definitely come to a conclusion that there might be shoulder stiffness, there will be something called as AWS, axillary syndrome, where there is stiffness of all the lymph channels, which ultimately brings to your muscle and fascia tightness as well. Okay, so your range is restricted because of it. So range restriction, muscle stiffness, joint reduction in joint mobility, and reduction in the muscle power, and pain. Okay, so all these complications can be treated. Obviously we come into action. Okay, so what do we as physiotherapists do? Okay, one is we do lymphatic drainage massage, that is can be done manually also, it can be done through a lymphatic drainage massage machine also. Okay, then manual stretching, myofascial therapy, relaxation massage, stretching, strengthening, resisted exercise. There's a stigma, there's a thought in, common thought in everywhere that अरे मुझे कैंसर हो गया, I have cancer, I should not do any exercise, it will increase my cancer. That's the common notion that the general public has. But I want to assure you, there is a method. Okay, there is a way to do all these things, but it is not contraindicated. Okay, stretching, strengthening, resisted exercises, aerobic exercises, usage of tens. Okay, all these things are not contraindicated for uh, cancer patients. It is in fact a mandatory thing that is upcoming. People are still getting to know. Okay, it is a mandatory thing that cancer patients do to improve their quality of life. Okay, the second example that I want to give you is the head and neck cancer. Okay, head and neck cancer, it can be, tongue cancer, it can be your throat cancer, thyroid cancer, it can be your glandular tissues that can be cancerous. Okay, you can have buccal mucosa cancers. Okay, so basically all these cancers have same, mode of treatment. That is, it can be either surgery, radiation therapy, chemotherapy, target therapy. And mostly when all these head and neck cancer patients, they undergo surgery, they end up with a tracheostomy for better pulmonary functions. Okay. So what are the complications that develop because of these treatment methods in head and neck cancer? Again, like I said, even the lymph nodes are removed because they are the channels where through where the cancer tissues can spread rapidly. Okay, through your lymphatic channels, through your lymph nodes. Okay, that is when your cancer becomes metastatic. Okay, normal. When you say cancer, just cancer, it is isolated to one area. For example, it is isolated to my hand. Okay, I'm just using it as an example. It is isolated to my hand. But if the same cancer tissue through my lymph channels, through my blood vessels, if it blood circulation, it goes elsewhere. Okay, it travels to my lymph channel. The cancer cells goes to my lung from my hand. Okay, then it is called as metastatic. Okay, so metastatic cancers are more severe forms of cancer. Okay, their treatments are usually very limited. Okay, so it is very important that they have to treat the lymph nodes as well. They have to take out the lymph nodes to avoid the spread of the cancer. And because of this, your lymphatic drainage, your lymphatic circulation is hampered. That's when lymphedema develops. Okay, you develop jaw stiffness. There are chances, since they undergo tracheostomy as well, there are chances they develop pneumonia, neck stiffness, any facial nerve damage. Okay, any fibrosis, tooth decay, gum disease, breakdown of tissues of bones, muscles. Okay, and lot of ulcerations. Okay, because of the severity of the treatment methods. So these are the complications that a head and neck cancer patient will undergo. Not all of them, but obviously few of them will definitely be there. Including this, there will also be fatigue, there will also be nausea. Okay, so their quality of life, their performance in ADL are all in a downward trend. So again, when it comes to assessment, we check for their breathing pattern. We check for their any breath sounds. We check for any postural differences. We check for their range of motion, their fatigue, pain levels, muscle strength, balance. Okay, and their breathing capacity. Okay, and when it comes to management, again, we have a different set of exercises. Okay, we have stretching, strengthening. The usual trend that we follow in any other condition applies to every type of cancer as well. Okay, there are certain contraindications, but they are all specific to each condition, which is why you need to learn the in-depth of oncophysiotherapy. Right now, all I'm giving you is just an outline so that you get aware that there is a branch called oncophysiotherapy. Okay, so I have given you a brief outline of what oncophysiotherapy is. Now you might think, what can I do being an oncophysio? How do I become an oncophysio? Okay, so oncophysio, the scope in India is upcoming. Okay, it's not yet widely known in India, but everywhere around the world, it is very widely known and very high in scope. Okay, there are a lot of masters, a lot of specialization certificates, certifications in oncology, in physiotherapy. Okay, but when it comes to India, we have one or two institutes which provide you masters in physiotherapy in oncology. That is in Belgaum, Karnataka, I think. Okay, it's called the KLE Institute of Physiotherapy. Okay, the other major, you would have, it's a widely known hospital, the Tata Memorial Hospital. They have branches all across India. There's one in Mumbai. Okay, sorry, in the introduction it was written Pune, but I did my course in Mumbai. Okay, there's a Tata Memorial Hospital in Mumbai. There's one in Varanasi. There's one in Vizag. Okay, there are a lot of places where there's one in Punjab. Okay, so there are a lot of places where this widely known hospital is available, is there, and they have this oncophysiotherapy training course, which is a 1-year course. Okay, the MPT oncology that is provided in KLE Institute is 2 years. Okay, and the training course that is there in Tata Memorial Hospital, okay, is of 1 year, out of which 6 months is training and 6 months is internship, and you get peripheral postings as well. Okay, and if you're looking for online certifications and workshops, there are a lot of courses. Okay, 4 hours course, but I'm sure you will just get an outline on it. You will not get the in-depth of what an oncophysio is and what all precautions specifically you have to take care when it comes to a cancer patient. Okay, it's not like any random condition, chronic condition. It's not like any spinal cord injury, brain injury. It's not like any it's not like any normal condition. Cancer is a special condition, and you need to specialize just how you specialize in every other field. For example, how you specialize in cardio respiratory, how you specialize in musculoskeletal. Likewise, there is a specialty in oncology as well. Okay, so before you go and touch a cancer patient, you must be trained. You must know what all the contraindications are, what all the red flags you have to look for each condition. Okay, so there is one online course, but it's quite expensive. It is an international website, that is Pink and Steel Education. Okay, but if anybody is interested, they can have a look at it as well. Okay, the next is the APTA oncology. Okay, the American Physiotherapy Association also have an oncology course, which will be coming up online very soon. But other than that, there are a lot of abroad options. Out of India, there are a lot of options to specialize in oncology, but when it comes to India, these are the limited things that we have, which is why it will make you unique, which is why it will, uh, now we know ki every physio is an ortho physio, every physio is an MSK, musculoskeletal physio. But when it comes to cancer physio, how many have you heard? Probably 1 out of 100, probably 1 out of 1,000. That is how it makes you stand out. That is how you can help, and that is how you can, widen your learning, widen your approach to cancer patients as well. Okay, so I would highly recommend you to specialize and get to know more about cancer physiotherapy. You can do it through any of these modes, or you can look for your own as well. You can even, there's observership also provided in a lot of hospitals for say 2 months, 3 months. Okay, so a lot of cancer hospitals also provide for observership, so you can have a look at that as well. Okay, so these are the scopes for oncophysiotherapy, and I am proud to be an oncophysiotherapist. um, I've been practicing as a rehab specialist, where I see all kinds of chronic cases, including cancer patients as well. And I must definitely tell you, it's my personal experience, the improvement that a cancer patient has through physiotherapy is outstanding. Uh, just like any other case, okay? Just like, for example, just take a frozen shoulder, okay? The physiotherapist intervenes, apart from the physician. Okay, when the physiotherapy also intervenes, that is when a frozen shoulder patient uh, appreciates the professional. Okay, that is the relief that we give them, that is the improvement that we give them as a physiotherapist. Likewise, when it comes to cancer, a lot of patients undergo a lot of trauma, a lot of physical inabilities, physical impairments, mental disturbances, emotional disturbances. So helping them improve their quality of life, helping them do their, at least their daily activities by themselves itself, uh, gives a, gives a hope for cancer patients. So make sure you spread the word that there is something called as physiotherapist in cancer, physiotherapist for cancer patients. Okay, and make sure you also learn more about it, so that you can help the cancer patients around. Because like I said, there are person in every 8 minutes dying just because of cancer, and it is the second leading cause of death globally. So just imagine how important physiotherapist is in this condition called as cancer. So let us help everyone. Let us spread the word, and let us improve our learning. Let us improve ourselves through whatever new learning we can find. Thank you. I hope if you have any questions, you can drop in the chat box, or you can just tell it out loud. I'm very ready to answer it. Or you can post it in as well, WhatsApp group as well, I hope. So I'll be able to answer your queries. That's it from my side. Thank you all. Anybody, any questions, you can ask me now. Somebody has asked, what are the requirements for admission in Tata Institute? Okay, so all you have to do is basically you need to have completed your basic physiotherapy. It is not without while doing your course you can't do this. You have to complete your 4 years of physiotherapy with 6 months of internship. After you have completed your basic degree is when you specialize in this. Okay, so if you want to get into Tata Memorial Hospital for their training course, which is of 1 year, okay, you can apply after you've done your studies, your basic degree. After that, you can specialize in they have 2 batches in a year. I'm not sure, okay, right now, but they have 2 batches in a year. They take 5 or 6 students at a time. It's based on interviews only, so you can check their official website, that is tmc.gov.in. Okay, there you can find the admission forms. Any other questions? Over to Kavya.
I think there are no more questions. So it was a wonderful session. Thank you so much. It was really informative, and I'm sure everybody has learned something new today. And we look forward to many more such webinars from you. And thank you.
Thank you.
We can end the session.